what I love about sourcing is that it sits right at the intersection of product creation, global manufacturing, and entrepreneurs. So it's kind of like where ideas actually turn into products. And that's incredibly exciting for me to be a part of.
Do you have a brilliant product idea but don't know where to start to get it made? Or are you looking to level up your product but afraid to take it overseas?
If so, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Jackie.
And I'm Erin, and we are
The Sourcing Gals,
your trusted guides to everything you need to know about sourcing, manufacturing, and scaling your product overseas. Whether you are just starting out or you've been making your own product for a while, we are here to help women source products overseas without the overwhelm.
In each episode, we'll share insider tips, actionable strategies, and inspiring stories to help you source more effectively, save time, and boost your profits.
Duh!
We know how hard it can be to juggle the ins and outs of product development, but don't worry, we've got your back.
So grab a cup of coffee, get comfy, and let's dive into how you can grow your business,
make more money,
and turn your products into profit. Welcome to The
Sourcing Gals. Now let's get started. High five.
Hi. If you're building a product-based business and finding yourself second-guessing decisions or wishing you had someone to gut check, we want you to know you don't have to do this alone.
On January 1st, we're opening the Sourcing Gals Founder Circle, our private community for product-based founders.
Inside, you'll get monthly Q&A calls with us, access to our templates, scripts, and tools, and most importantly, a community of founders building right alongside you.
It's only $27 a month, or for a limited time, $247 for the year. That's 3 months free. You can find all the details in the show notes. Hope to see you there.
Hey there, welcome to another episode of
The Sourcing Gals.
We have such a special episode coming at you today. We are interviewing someone who is so powerful in the space of trade shows when it comes to manufacturing, and I think you guys are going to love it. We're interviewing Pinar Van de Vegt. She is an accomplished sales and event leader with over 20 years of experience in the events industry, currently serving as the head of sales and events for sourcing by Informa, which we talk about all the time. She is recognized for data-driven sales leadership, executive-level client development, and international team management across multiple regions. She has a proven track record of driving success in large-scale trade shows and exhibitions. So let's welcome Pinar to the show. So welcome. We have Pinar here from Sourcing, and we are so excited to have you on the Sourcing Gals podcast.
Yes, welcome, Pinar.
I am so super excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
So I got to tell you, Pinar, that Sourcing by Informa has been an event that I should really count, but I think I've probably been at least 14 times. I've gone consecutively every year, twice a year for, probably the last 8 to 9 years. So I know there was a few that I may have missed for, vacations or whatever it may have been, but I am a huge fan. I was there pre-pandemic, the year of the pandemic when all of China couldn't make it in. I was at that show. And then it's been amazing to also see the rebuild coming out of the pandemic. So for those that have no idea what I'm talking about, and they're like, what is this sourcing event? Can you tell us, what is Sourcing by Informa?
Sourcing is a completely different event than any other events I've done so far. A little bit of a background. I've been in the trade show business for over 20 years. I don't want to sound so old, but let's just say I started at a very early age. Since then, I've worked across fashion, textile, consumer goods, manufacturing, organizing shows in dozens of countries like Europe, Asia, and the Americas. But what I love about sourcing is that it sits right at the intersection of product creation, global manufacturing, and entrepreneurs. So it's kind of like where ideas actually turn into products. And that's incredibly exciting for me to be a part of. Because every other show, they have brands, they have products that they have names that they can promote, right? When you go to the sourcing show, all you see is like rows and rows and booths and all the manufacturers with names that nobody wouldn't recognize. But behind that booths, there is this big manufacturers or small manufacturers, all sizes. But these people are actually making people's dreams come true in a way.
Oh,
I love that. And that's why we feel the same way you do about the magic, really, of that intersection between product design and development and manufacturing, which is why we're called the Sourcing Gals, because it just like has a big spot in our heart. And not to sound silly about that, because anyone outside looking in, it's a very niche kind of spot to be, but it is so magical.
yeah. And I want to say for our listeners too, I mean, truly imagine you might have been to a trade show before where you have, vendors or booths. It's like that on steroids, and it's an international trade show, right? So you have these amazing product booths that are set up by country and by product type. And so you can really get a chance to walk the floor, not only touch and feel the products, which is one of my favorite parts of it, but then talk face to face with the factory owner, with the head of sales, with the development. I mean, we went last time to Magic and we were literally with our clients talking costs right there at the show, touching and feeling product, like how much faster you're able to get to the answers when you're doing something like this in person. And it's a very unique experience to have these factories travel overseas, right? And come here to, it's in Las Vegas, by the way, coming up in February, and actually be there in person to meet with people like us, like our listeners.
And I think
Exactly.
not all are overseas. So we can even jump into, Pinar, like, what are the types of factories and suppliers that a guest would expect to see at sourcing?
I mean, I absolutely agree with Erin as well. So usually when a new founder trying to find a factories, they have to just send an email or try to find it online. But when they come to sourcing, it's not agents behind email addresses anymore. It's not faceless platforms, but real manufacturers you can sit down with, shake hands with, and ask real questions. And I feel like the scale of the event with ease of entry, you're not just seeing one country, you're seeing all the countries and categories in one platform. So it is a truly global sourcing ecosystem with exhibitors and buyers from 75 countries. But the environment is still approachable. What kind of suppliers the founders can expect? Any type of suppliers, really, because sourcing, apart from our brand shows, the product category is also very large because sourcing can apply to any product groups. So we have the regular product groups, which is apparel, knits, swimwear, accessories, and we have a large footwear section as well. But apart from them, let's say this year sport events are on the rise and there are new sports becoming trendy, like pickleball. So we even have manufacturers just making pickleball backpacks for rackets. And we have manufacturers only working with golf equipments and accessories. So when the founders come to our show, they will have a wide variety of product groups and they will have a wide variety of countries that they can source from. So they have options.
You said something that really resonated with me, because this last trip to sourcing by Informa was my first, actually. For years and years, Jackie had been like, you have to go, you have to go, you have to go. And I finally went. And every year my suppliers were there and they were like, come and visit us, you should come. And for whatever reason, the companies I was at, like, they didn't send us. But nonetheless, you said footwear. You have a big footwear footprint, so to speak, at the sourcing show. And I swear, when I walked into that footwear section and went booth to booth, my mind was like, I need to open a footwear shop. I need to open a footwear shop tomorrow.
I told Erin, I'm like, this is the dangerous thing about us going to sourcing together, is we're going to walk away with like 10 different brands that we want to create and launch, because it's so inspiring. And actually, fun fact about the pickleball too, Pinar, 2 shows ago, when I was working for my previous employer, I met a factory. We had a customer that needed pickleball paddles, and we actually met the supplier at sourcing, and we ended up going to bulk production with them. And we delivered pickleball paddles recently for one of our customers who was doing a big event, like a big activation event with their customers. And it was so great to be able to sit and, there's such a range of quality. They sat me through every single different type, the good, better, best pricing, the MOQs. I mean, we got through everything in that a 10-minute conversation that could have taken weeks of back and forth via email, to your point. So just the value of being able to, one, see these exciting new product categories emerge. And it is true. I mean, I actually think what's exciting about the footwear piece in particular, they're the manufacturing player, right? So they have to be ahead of the retail market. So what you're going to see at some of those booths are products that actually haven't yet made it to the U.S. market, because maybe they're in ideation, they're doing R&D for European brands, or they're going to present it to the U.S. buyers that come through as well, right? So they're not just meeting with founders, they're actually meeting with retailers that do private label with them.
Exactly, because you're absolutely true. These manufacturers, they don't only work with the U.S. Brands, they work with the entire brand portfolio of the world. They have very different ideas. They've seen a lot of different things. So they also bring to the show floor these different ideas. And I've been hearing this, what you mentioned before. So many founders come to the show and they don't have any plans or future projects about going to that direction in the brand side, but they get all these new ideas and they just, leave the show floor with like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. And then they will be successful. So they already have a partner. They already have the idea. So many people come to our show. They also leave the show with different ideas as well, not initially what they come for.
I think that's so valuable because a big portion of our listeners are people who have a product, maybe a hero product or a shop that exists, but are looking to diversify their offering. As you kind of plateau in sales with what you maybe already brought to market, then you may be looking for supporting goods, and you can just go to the show and kind of figure it out in one day.
Yeah. I mean, it's like you're kind of shopping a mini mall, right? Like a curated mini mall. Every booth has fully finished products. And then for those that are looking for more fabric sourcing, there is an entire floor where there's just fabric, right? From denim to knits to sportswear. I mean, so depending on exactly how low you want to go with your sourcing, labels, right? There's a ton of amazing patch suppliers that I've worked with in the past, that packaging suppliers, right? So you can break apart that supply chain, that product, journey in lots of different ways at one single show. And you think about, we always talk on the show about how much freight costs alone to ship one sample internationally. You're talking $100+. Like this show, with an investment of a plane ticket and maybe one night hotel, I mean, it could save you tens of thousands of development dollars, to be honest. And then also just your time.
I won that back in blackjack.
Erin did win it back in blackjack, by the way, our last trip.
I mean, time is more than the cost of it, which is very costly, but time, because I travel the world, because I oversee the entire sourcing shows. I have to go to all these places. And most of our manufacturers, none of them are close to the US. So they're in Bangladesh, India, Pakistan, China, Turkey, Portugal, all these places. I remember that I went to Bangladesh and this trip took me 40 hours on 3 different planes. And I had the India Bangladesh trip combined, because I was like, since I'm going to be there, so I'm just going to combine these 2 countries. It took me 2 weeks, because if you're planning to go to different cities also to meet with different factories and manufacturers, you need to spend months in these countries, and you need to spend so much money and so much time. So sourcing just brings all these manufacturers to your feet, and they're just all together side by side that you can compare, because it's not only choosing the country, but also what kind of partner. You're basically sourcing a partner. It's not just sourcing a product, but you're also sourcing a partner, because every country has different work ethics, cultural differences. So you can see all these differences in person. You can just identify what you're looking for and what kind of partner you're looking for. This is the most important and powerful part for me.
I love it. And that actually segues into my next question. So I think a lot of people listening might be like, oh, but I'm not a big brand. I just have an idea. I'm just starting out. My order quantity might not be large. Can you help kind of rest assure those listeners that maybe aren't on the middle to large scale, that sourcing is really built for them as well?
Absolutely. What's important for small brands is that many of these factories are actively looking to work with emerging brands. They understand that today's small founder could be tomorrow's major label. And we've seen it so many times. I mean, none of us knew 6, 7 years ago what Lululemon was. Look at it now. It starts as a startup too. But what happens is also the founders are scared and they don't think they're big enough. But so many of these manufacturers, they might be new in the market in the United States. So they're as scared as the new founders. And they just want to start from somewhere. And while they want to work with this market, they also are aware that they're not going to start working with the big players immediately. Or some of them specifically is asking for startups to mid-size founders because the big players, they always cut the prices. There is a lot of competition to be working with these big players. So they prefer to work with the small to mid-size founders. So no one should think that, oh, I'm not big enough to come sourcing, because there is demand for every type of founder on the sourcing floor.
I love that so much.
Yeah. And I think one other fun fact just for listeners for, again, thinking about first time, a lot of the booths actually outline their minimum order quantity, MOQ, that you guys hear on, we talk about a lot on the show here. Minimum order quantity is like really what that initial style, what that purchase unit wise needs to be. A lot of them now are having signage that will say 300 unit MOQ, 500 unit MOQ, I've seen 100 unit MOQ on some of these manufacturers. So to your point,
zero.
Yeah,
zero MOQ.
Truly. So I do think that is such an important thing for our listeners to understand, that these factories are truly looking for startup brands. Like, I love what you said, that today's startup is like, you know, tomorrow's future brand. It's so true. And I love that these factories, we always say these factories they are a business. They are business people. They want to invest and grow with you. So we say, cast that vision to them, explain if you're a new founder, what your journey looks like, what you're hoping to achieve. And maybe you find that perfect partner right at sourcing.
Exactly. And because you can meet them in person, you can have all these honest conversations. So you don't have to upsell yourself. You can just say that I'm branding. This is my new brand. This is my idea. And if the manufacturer is convinced with that idea, they are willing to grow together with you. So this is very important. And this is a trust relationship. And I think you can only have that kind of relationship when you meet with these people on both sides in person. Because also manufacturers want to find trustworthy brands, but vice versa. The brands, they want to have long-term relationships with the manufacturers they have, because the options are a lot in the world. That we have a lot of manufacturers. So identifying the right manufacturer for you is your biggest decision in the beginning in your success story.
And I think that if a new founder was going into this show thinking, this isn't for me, I'm too small for this, it might also be where they are in their product journey. Maybe they're not ready to place a bulk order. That's okay. They can still go and get a feeling for how it works, talk to some people, see what's new on the market, see some of maybe that trending fabric that we were talking about. So I'm curious then, this year in particular, are there any new trends, whether it be in product or fabric, that you're seeing kind of become much more popular?
I think one of the fabrics become really, really, really trendy right now is the fabric for activewear. There is a huge trend, especially after COVID. You know, before COVID, we have the trends for like more workplace, like suits and all these like classic type of apparel. After COVID, now everybody's all about activewear. So the fabric, specialty fabrics for it is on the rise. And we've been having more and more manufacturers coming to the fabric section from that area. Sourcing is kind of like an educational platform for both sides. Recently, I was in China, so we're in Canton Fair, and I'm talking to these big manufacturers for activewear brands. And I've been telling them a couple of really famous brands here, but they didn't even know who those brands are. And they're like, oh, We don't know these brands. We only know such and such and such. And most of them might be European brands. So we also try to educate how business is done in the United States, who is trendy, what's in trend, and the ways to work with the founders. Because in Europe, there are established brands and they've been there for 100 years. Here, one brand can be really famous in a week because a TikToker was mentioning about it, or a celebrity just put up a new line. So this education is a learning curve on both sides. So while we're trying to educate the new founders and the buyers, we're also doing the same work on the manufacturer side.
I love that. And actually, one factory that I met two sourcing shows ago was a factory from China in the athleisure space, and they have their own Amazon brand. And so what they had in their booth was fully US fit silhouettes. It was tennis skirts, it was leggings, it was sports bras, and they were allowing you to basically take their fit block and make it yours, right? So versus when you think about a lot of founders having to do a tech pack and start from scratch, a lot of these factories have amazing fit garments. And if you like that fit, they're showing that to you because it's available. So we were able to actually take their existing silhouette, we changed it to our customer's color, and we bypassed, again, months of what would have been a fit tech, because they're already selling on Amazon to the US market. And I owned one of the skirts myself, so I knew that the fit was actually great. And they were also willing to send us and let us take samples home. So just know that it's beyond just finding the manufacturer or finding the fabric. There's even silhouettes that they're going to show you that you're allowed to just literally shop off the line and make tweaks, right? We call it source and tweak, like not having to start back from scratch. These are all the types of conversations you can be having with these people face to face when you're there at the show.
Just because of this reason, actually, we created for the last couple of sourcing shows this designated area for manufacturers with their own brands, because many manufacturers, especially in China, and I know this trend in Turkey as well, they are private label, but they also have their own domestic brands, which they have no intention to come to the US and, that's a completely different organization and they're not willing to do it on the private label in the US. But they have this knowledge, they have the designers, they have everything ready. So when we created this manufacturer with their own brand section, it was actually highly sought for because the new founders and startups, they need that kind of support. Sometimes they have the ideas, but they don't have the investment or the background to create this entire process. So we have a special designated area for it now in sourcing.
That's awesome. I love to hear that.
Yeah, that's where, we come in with a lot of our creators as well and our founders, because you made a good point that not every founder is a designer. They're not a tech designer. They maybe don't have the ability to understand how their vision's going to come together, but they have the vision, and that's what's important.
Yeah, and I think those are the conversations you have with the vendor too, right? You say, hey, what team members can I lean on you for? Can you help me with my tech pack? Can you help me with my design? I would say a good majority of the factories I've spoken with, truly, they all have in-house design now because it's the wave of the future. They know that all of their customers aren't going to be able to take that heavy lift, right? So you're giving them general direction, then they go and actually make the CAD for you or make it into a print. So I think these are all 100% valid questions that you can ask and will not make you look, like you don't know what you're talking about. No, it's actually going to make you look even more, professional and understanding. Say, hey, what services can you offer to me and my brand versus what do I have to bring into the relationship?
It's a step up, really. And I think another misconception is that new founders, they always think that, I should walk away with a signed deal. That's not always realistic or necessary. The real value is just this relationship building, learning the landscape, and understanding what's possible. And before you come to the show floor, you would never know that there are manufacturers with a full capacity of service that they can provide. Like they have in-house designers, they have all these vertical organizations in their factories.
Running a product-based business is complicated enough. Your banking shouldn't be. That's why we use Mercury. It's a free, intuitive banking platform built for entrepreneurs. no monthly fees, and get this, no wire fees ever. Plus, it integrates with QuickBooks, making bookkeeping a breeze. And the best part? Their credit card gives you 1.5% cash back with a holiday bonus of 2.5% cash back on ad spend. Terms do apply. Banking doesn't have to be complicated. Join me and thousands of other founders using Mercury. Learn more and sign up today using the link in the show notes. That's exactly right. There's so many more opportunities than I think what people even realize outside looking in before they've come to a sourcing show. So that being said, is there anything top of mind for you that you think that attendees tend to overlook?
I think I'm going to say education, because we have this extensive education program in main stage on the show floor, where we actually have designated panels and talks towards it's called Source 101, for new founders about how to prepare their tech packs and what's important when you choose your manufacturers and so on. So this is, I think, very important, because people focus so much on the exhibitor booths that sometimes they forget about panels, talks, and informal conversations. Like, you can learn in one session what might otherwise take you months of trial and error. Or,
that's our favorite spot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
we
favorite spot too. And also talking to the other attendees. It's kind of like a networking opportunity too. The founders standing next to you might have solved the exact problem you're struggling with. So this person could be your next mentor to overcome the same challenge. That's why I think it's really important to come to this networking activities. We have happy hours. We have education stage panels and talks. And what's most surprising is that the people on that stage, they also created their own brands, and they've been through what they're going through, or where they started. So these are all successful people with successful stories. So there are a lot of lessons to take from these panels of education.
We spoke on stage last sourcing, and we just had the best experience. Like, one, we love sharing, obviously, which is why we do this podcast. We just want to share our industry knowledge. But the real magic happened after we walked off stage and had a line of attendees wanting to network, Q&A, and keep going through and problem solve. And so it was just so inspiring to meet so many founders that are, going through similar things that Erin and I have been through, or continuing to go through right now with our own product-based businesses, right? So I love that networking call out and the ability to, meet your new bestie there in a sense, because it is such a niche focus of where you are, but you're surrounded in a room of people who are all doing it, right? And all at different phases of this product journey.
And it's such a community feel. Everybody is just trying to help the other. They're not holding all information or anything. So it makes me so happy to see and hear these stories and see these stories that come through, and people helping each other, and sourcing show floor is a sense of, it's a community, and everybody is just helping each other.
I'll never forget. So in Las Vegas Convention Center, because it's a very long convention center, right? And while there's sourcing happening on one side, there's also a buying show happening on the other called Magic and Project. So if you happen to own a boutique and you're selling that way, there's also those vendors and brands are also exhibiting. So to go from one side of the show to the other, it's a bit of a trek. So the convention center has built this amazing tunnel where you take a Tesla from one end to the other. And I'll never forget, it was in my Tesla drive one day, there was a gentleman in the car with us who was a very successful footwear vendor. And I told him, we're actually looking for a new footwear supplier for a very big brand that we were working with. And he literally, when we got out of the Tesla, hand walked me to his vendor that he has been using for over 10 years. And still at every show, I run into him. I see him on, I'm like, hey, it's good to see you again. But talk about community. He was willing to just say, hey, come, you got to meet my vendor, right? It was no competition. It was like, no, this is someone I know and trust and really appreciate, has helped me grow my business. Come, let me introduce you. So again, this gentleman just made an introduction. That was from a conversation we had in our Tesla drive.
But you do the same thing. At the last show we were at, there was someone looking for something specific, and you were like, meet me here.
Oh, yes.
I will take you.
I will take you to the booth.
To the booth.
Yes.
And you made that connection. So
yeah, as product lovers, it's just what we want to do. We want to help connect the dots, right? We want to help see other founders succeed. And I really believe that is truly the energy that you get at the show.
And I have a good news for you with that distances between our three shows. So now the construction is finally complete on our side. Magic is moving to Central Hall. So I think there will be an even better flow between the shows because the project is in North Hall. In the middle, there is Magic. And in the South Hall, there is sourcing. So last year, I struggled myself because I've been going between the shows. The tunnel wasn't open yet even. There was a construction in the middle. So I had to walk in August at 110 degrees in Vegas outside from
it was so
one
hot.
hole to the other hole. I thought that I got stung by a bee. It was my bracelet, metal bracelet, burned my skin because of the sun.
My goodness.
So I would say we won't have any of these problems, and we will have a much better flow as well in terms of branded shows and sourcing being together, because so many of these brands, by the way, exhibiting on those show floors, they come to sourcing to source. So
100%.
They were complaining about that as well. And for the new founders, this is a great opportunity because all these brands, established brands, they're already on our other halls in the same show floor, basically, same convention center. So you could go and see what's they're doing right.
Absolutely.
You
That's
can
a good point.
Yeah.
Back to that footwear. We were over in the branded show because also funny story, because the trek between the halls was so long. We spoke on both stages last year, and there were several women, if they're listening right now, you'll know who you were, who just ran to the other stage when we were speaking, and they came and they missed us, but we sent them a recording. But anyway, when we were in the branded side, I remember we were there the last day, and I kind of wish we would have gone there first because I saw so many things that I also saw in sourcing. And I thought, you can just start your own brand over here. And that's how my mind works.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was so inspiring.
Yeah. And speaking of inspiring, like we met a lot of founders on the sourcing side. Are there any founders that you've had personal relationships with where you have seen that success yourself, like where they might have started at sourcing and seen them, come back year after year and see their brand grow?
We have many of those, but we also have I remember one new founder thinking about he came to me, our path just, crossed somehow, it was a good coincidence. So I remember this man just trying to find a sustainable vegan leather manufacturer because he wanted to have vegan purses. And he had this vision. And they met one of our exhibitors in the sustainability area, which collects olive pits from olive oil factories all over the world in manufacturing vegan leather products out of it. So They collaborated and they become so successful. And this new founder didn't even think that, it's possible to do it from that sustainable point. He also wanted to have his products to have a story behind it. So that was a perfect combination of a manufacturer with a story behind their manufacturing and this new founder who wants to have this brand with a story behind it. So he changed his shift totally. He even met a manufacturer better than what he expected. And it was a very successful collaboration on both sides. So I've seen brands pivot their sourcing strategy entirely after one conversation in one of the manufacturers as well. And that saved them money, improved quality, and reduced their risk. So the common thread, I think, is the mindset. You have to come to the show floor curious, prepared, and open to learning.
Yeah, I think one of the big things we kept hearing after our presentation was this anxiousness about trusting these factories, right? Like we heard it time and time again. And I kept saying, you have to understand, these factories have traveled 40 hours the other way to us. They've paid money to have a booth on this show floor and meet you. If they were all shisty, they wouldn't be doing these things. They'd be behind a computer screen and trying to wheel and deal you, but they're not. They're wanting to be upfront. They're wanting to actually show face in person. So I try to remind our founders, like, they've made such a bigger investment to be here than even your trip to come and see them. So while I understand we all get nervous about, our brand protection and our IP, all these things, you have to understand that they're business players on the other side of these booths with you, and they're here as an investment to grow their business. And so there has to be, you kind of have to come with that same mindset and a sense of like, okay, I do have to be a little trustworthy to have the initial conversation, right? And you can protect some of your information. You don't have to tell them everything up front. We talk about this a lot, but you have to know that these suppliers are coming with positive intent. So, and the more you can try to open up and be trustworthy with them, it's going to go two ways, and it's going to let those conversations be so much more fruitful if you can just put a little bit more trust in the fact that they're here to do the same thing as you.
Exactly. They made a lot of investment to come here, that's for sure. Yeah. And I mean, they're very open-minded. That's why I don't want anyone to be intimidated by the sourcing show floor, because it is a little bit. It's very big. It's full of manufacturers. But as I said before, all these manufacturers, they're also scared too, and they just want to find their next partner in the United States, because for many of them, it's a new market. It's just nobody should think that I'm too small, I'm not ready. You don't have to be prepared with your tech packs and all these like pre-work. You can go there and find it out what needs to be done and what you're lacking.
Absolutely. We talk a lot too about, mindset's huge. We've addressed mindset, but we also talk about tactical ways to organize yourself going in to get the most of it. We talk about, as silly as it sounds, bringing a mini stapler. We talk about having your notebook and like stapling your business cards to your notebook, writing your notes on it, taking pictures with your phone, like staying really organized, because with as big as it is, and as many people you'll see, you think you're going to remember, and you will be like, what was that one thing I saw? So those are some of our like tips and tricks for staying organized. Do you have any that you recommend, any ways that attendees can get the most out of their journey?
I've been hearing from a lot of manufacturers and new founders that, because I keep seeing people like they're taking like selfies together. I'm like, what's going on here? Like, do they know each other beforehand? Are they become friends very quick? But I realize that they do it because they meet so many people. So when they send the next email for follow-up, they also attach the picture. So it's more like a visual thing that they can remember later. But taking notes immediately is really important. Like, who did you meet? What stood out? What felt like right for you? But for some manufacturers and buyers, also important to take notes of like what didn't work and why you don't want to do it, because you might have this idea in your head that I'm going to do this. And when you see it in some manufacturer's booth, you might decide that it doesn't look as good as I thought it was going to be. So that's an important note as well. Then follow up quickly, but not just with an email, maybe a more personal way, like a phone call. Or so many of these manufacturers, by the way, it's not very common in the United States, but everybody uses WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is an app everybody has to have, because even with our agents and with our exhibitors, my team communicates through WhatsApp. So that's an important app. Other than that, now I have WeChat, because in China, they only use WeChat. So we have to just adapt ourselves to different countries' rules, their way of working, because it's a very global organization. So we have to adapt ourselves to what works with these people. So, but personal notes and personal relationships, just not like a generic email. It doesn't work anymore. Everything has to be in a more personal level.
Something I just remembered, and it wasn't at sourcing, it was actually at Canton Fair, which is giant, but it was the last time that I went as a buyer. And this worked so well for me. And I just remembered, so I was going to add it to this segment. I had an iPad, and I would take a picture of the things I liked in a booth, take a picture of the business card, and then with my pen, my Apple Pen, I wrote on the picture my notes, what the MOQs were, what colors I liked, what the name of the rep was. And then when we were going back on the plane, I just was going through those pictures, and I had like all my info. And it was kind of brilliant. And the woman who I traveled with, she told me, oh, this is how we should do it. And I thought, this seems overkill. And then we did it. And it was actually so...
That's a great tip. And if for whatever reason you don't have a fancy iPad pen, go buy one. You can also open up your notes app and add pictures
now
in your notes app and write your notes typing, because my chicken scratch gets sometimes very hard to read. So now I can actually make my notes in my notepad with a similar thing. So I love that. That is two really good. I mean, I love that iPad. I think that's what we'll do. I'm bringing mine, and I need to buy a pen because I don't have one.
I'll bring it.
Okay.
I just remembered it and how handy it was.
Yeah, because when you after you've seen your 6th footwear booth, sometimes things can start to blend together, even if you think they're not going to.
Exactly. I mean, we have so many manufacturers on our show floor. You have to have a system before you go there, and you have to it's even, let's say we do a good job with, designated areas for certain product groups, but some of them we have to do it by country. Some of them, like a massive area for China, we do it inside China with the product groups. So before they go to the show, we have apps to visit the show, right? So identifying which booth number you're going to visit, and identify, of course, you're going to go and see unexpected ones on the show floor, but identifying the top 10 is important. And after that, the discovery can start. But you have to go there with a plan. Otherwise, it's too many manufacturers with a giant space.
Correct. And also, you brought up your app, because I do think the app is an amazing tool also. So if you are someone looking to attend the event, all the education is loaded right in there. So you can heart and add to your calendar anything specifically in that education forum that you want to attend. There's also really fun activations. There's cocktail hours, right? There's DJs that come sometimes. So there's lots of fun things to do as well, ways to network, meet other founders, and just kind of let loose a little bit when you're in Las Vegas. So I say, use that app. It is such a great resource as well if you are attending the show.
That's right.
And I feel like we've touched on this, but do you want to ask our final thoughts on our founders? That might still be nervous.
Yeah. For any founder listening right now who's just not quite sure, they might be nervous or they might feel like it's intimidating, what would you tell them?
I think before going there, don't get intimidated. You don't need to be ready. You just need to be curious. Every successful brand started exactly where you are right now. So nobody started their brand from the top. So you have to go through that hustle. You have to find the right way to make your own brand right. And you have to create your own successful journey. And what's a better place than Sourcing for to be able to see what's available or what the trends are or the idea you have, if it's right or wrong. So Sourcing by Informa really exists to make this process less intimidating, more transparent, and more human and in person. I don't know, you might walk in unsure, but you walk out informed, connected, and confident. Then that I can guarantee for every founder.
I was also going to say that you can just dip your toe in. You can go, you can walk around, you can get a lay of the land, then you can maybe go see a show in Las Vegas. You can go to a nice dinner. You don't have to go from open to close and wheel and deal and leave with a particular thing, because maybe that's not your journey. You can explore, you can be curious, as you said.
And can I also ask, Pinar, if for first-time attendees, is there a cost to go to Sourcing?
No, there's no cost.
I thought so, listeners. It is free. So literally, you need to get yourself there, go enjoy a nice, again, you could do it. I've done it. I've done a one night in Vegas, and that's coming from across the country. You can do it. I don't suggest it because if you're in Vegas, you should go enjoy it, but maybe stay 2 nights. But, it is a free event to attend. You just register online. We'll make sure we have the link in our show notes to get there. And guess what? The Sourcing gals are going to be there again, round 2 at Sourcing by Informa. And so we would love, if you happen to be there, to join us. Let's meet up.
Yes, please drop into our DMs and we would love to meet.
Yeah, I would love to meet you. But Pinar, this has been so helpful for us, for our listeners. I thank you for your time. We are so excited to hopefully have more of our listeners join us because I mean, it's truly like it's like my Disney World, I say, going to sourcing because it's just manufacturers, it's product, it's so much energy. Like there's just so much energy on the floor. You feel it right when you walk through those doors. So it truly is like, it's my Disney World. Not going to lie.
I know it really does give me goosebumps, especially when you walk in and you're kind of up because you have to take a stair, like a little staircase down. You are up and you see the entire floor and how big it is and how many people there are. And it is like just a kind of a goosebumps theme park feeling.
Yeah.
I am so happy to hear all these things because I feel like I can't be objective because sourcing floor is like my baby. And I'm there since it's like creation from like the first exhibitor to the 2000s. So to me, it's very, I'm so excited about sourcing. I think without manufacturing, nothing would happen. It's the base of the entire industry. And now everybody knows my face. You will see me walking around everywhere. So whoever wants to just like stop me and ask me questions, please feel free. And thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation. And I really appreciate all these thoughtful questions too.
Of course.
Thank you for being here, Pinar.
We'll make sure we have everything in the show notes, the link to where you can register, connecting. I know you guys have an active Instagram account as well. So we'll make sure we have all the tags, all the information for our listeners to follow along, and we'll be streaming live from it. We'll have lots of posts on our Instagram feed. We're going to probably be on the TikTok by then too. So get ready. We'll have some really great content coming your way as well. If you are unable to attend, but we would really love to have you there.
We would.
It'd be so fun.
Everybody makes it there and see how fantastic opportunity it is.
Thank you all. I hope you learned a lot today. And until next time on The Sourcing Gals.